Hi guys, welcome back to Off the Record. I'm Elise.
And I'm Dom, and welcome to episode 2. We're super excited. We filmed episode 1, I think,
4 times.
4 times, just because audio was wrong, and then lighting sucked, and then just complications.
It's like a full production.
Yeah, you should see the screen behind us. But this week's episode, we're talking about getting out of a rut, anxiety, motivation.
And just like sort of advice on how we pull ourselves together when
we're in the ditch.
Yeah.
We're in a hole. Yeah, just talking about like what we do, what makes us feel like it's okay to be depressed and overwhelmed, but to also understand that like you gotta keep it moving. You can't always just be feeling, or at least myself, I can't always be like down bad. No. Or else I'm like, okay, this is just a part of who I am now.
I always said I am like you would never know that I'm going through it because I'm always go.
That you're breaking down.
Yeah. You would never know. Even I was at a shoot a couple weeks ago, and the brand I was working with, they were like,
do you ever stop?
Do you have anxiety? And I'm like,
yeah.
And they're like, you really don't seem like
you hide it so well. Dude, I'm a master.
I'm crying on my drive home.
Feel like I actually cried on the way here. Mascara is under the concealer that I have on. But we start off every episode with Peak and Pit, where we kind of just talk about the past week, what went really well, what like sucked, and kind of just like a debrief or recap on how we were feeling. So
what's your peak and pit?
I would say my peak is I got hired, so I'm super excited. I actually got the call. I knew that I was gonna get it, which I kind of indicated in the last episode, but I was kind of waiting for offer letter and like confirmation. So I had like my 3rd interview, and then they were like, okay, well, like I feel like you know that you're getting the job, and I was like so happy. But yeah, so I got that, was like super great. So I'm like,
and it's fully remote.
I was a little worried because I was like, okay, if you're expecting me to go into office 2 days a week, like that completely not disrupts, but like it shakes up our podcast filming schedule.
But even like you have a dog, and like
I have
there's
a dog.
lot to deal with.
I live like up north. Like I don't live fairly, like it's not easy for me to get downtown Toronto. Like for me to get to you, it takes me like 45 minutes, and like you're not even downtown.
Yeah, you're
midtown. So that was something that I'm really stressed about. Plus I also love my home life. So I was like, if I have to leave the office 2 days a week and then drive downtown 50 minutes, drive home 50 minutes, I have to wake up at 4 a.m. But I'm excited. That was definitely a peak of this week. I would say a pit is probably all the money that I spent this weekend. I went out. I had 2 days.
But pros and cons.
Pros and cons. I can't have it all. But I did spend a lot of money. So I woke up Monday. Like I went to 2 days of Electric Island, and like I swear it's Monopoly money when you're in the festival. Like you're like, oh, I'll get another double. I'll get another drink, food, alcohol, Uber, like just everything. Like it ends up not just being like, oh, I'm spending like $60 on drinks. It's like getting downtown Toronto. And then like I didn't have sunglasses the second day because I lost some on day 1. So the guy's like, that'll be $30.
And you're like, okay.
Well, what am I going to do? Like I'm already in there.
Yeah.
So then I spend money. And so then I woke up Monday like a little stressed. But like wasn't like I didn't spend thousands of dollars. It was just a couple $100 that like I easily could have not spent. But yeah,
it'll come back.
That was my week. But I did have a lot of fun. Okay, how about you?
Peak. I'm going to Orlando tonight because I'm going to Disney tomorrow.
You're like, we have to film right
so we need to film right now, and I need to get out of here.
Yeah. Your flight's at what time?
It's at like 8:30.
Okay, so get to airport for 7. Have you ever been like stripped at the airport? Like pulled into a room?
With him, yeah.
Oh, and you're just there like
I'm just like twiddling my
your
thumbs
like eating candy. You're like, hey, we need to go. Our flight's boarding right now.
Yeah, we literally like ran for the plane last time because we got pulled into the room.
Yeah.
And they
don't care.
Oh, they don't care.
I've noticed you're like, sir, I don't want to rush you and I don't want to be disrespectful, but like my flight is boarding 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, we were the last ones on the plane.
And they're like, okay.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're like, you should have been here 5 hours before.
Yeah. And I was.
So you guys leave for Orlando tonight. You come back when?
Monday.
So that's a peak. That's exciting.
That's a
peak. And it's just the 2 of you.
Just the 2 of us.
Okay. For what, 3 nights?
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
Okay.
Pit. I feel like I've just been like overwhelmed recently.
In what sense?
I don't know. I just feel like sometimes when there's a lot going on from like personal life, job life and everything, it's hard for me it's hard for me to be bored, and then it's hard for me to be ultra busy. So finding a balance has been slightly difficult. But
what, you feel like you're either not doing anything or
I'm doing way too much.
Doing too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this week has been, I feel like, way too much, but also like it's because I technically have an extra job going on right now.
Okay.
So that's like also why. But overall, it's been a decent week.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. I feel like I never really struggled with anxiety much. And then the past couple years, just like finding a job, finding money, all of this stuff has like brought in this wave of anxiety. And
well, it's also like adult issues, like you never experienced before. Like when you were living at home back with your parents, you're not like, oh my god, like how am I gonna make rent?
Yeah, like I wasn't stressed about anything.
Yeah, honestly.
And like even now I definitely deal with it better, and I had never found benefits from therapy. Like I had gone in the past, like the one-off. You rave about it. Well, I have found the perfect therapist. And like probably within the past 2 months, like my mindset has completely shifted compared to like the past 2 years. So that has like been really beneficial. Making a schedule is something I really find helpful, and I find when I do not make that schedule or have like my list written down for the day, my brain is chaos. Because
I do it in Notion, and I have friends that like physically write it out.
I like to physically write it.
I honestly should, and I think now that I'm going to start a full-time job, like I think I'm going to get an agenda. Like I literally just go on Notion, I do a to-do list, and I list everything I need to do, but I think I need to visually see it every day, because if I don't have a list and I just like am trying to remember everything in mind, I go mentally insane.
I will say also, when you work remote, and like for me, I technically have several jobs just because I work on a contract basis, so having to keep track of everything, if I do not make that list,
you would be setting yourself up for failure. I think if you weren't like implementing proper tools for you to like every day be successful.
Also, like me and my boyfriend had a conversation like back in January where I was on my phone too much because I work from my phone, and my like I feel like resolution or whatever for that was making the list, so I get everything done, and then once my list is done, I'm done for the day, and my phone goes down, so then I can have like actual present time with people,
quality time. He works from his laptop, he's editing, he's creating, he's like doing mock-ups for whatever brands he's working with, and then you yourself, you're like editing, planning on Canva.
We do like very similar jobs, but very different in the same way.
Or like not niches, like you guys are both kind of in the same like.
Yeah, like we both technically work for ourselves. So like we get it, but it's also hard for that like shut off time. So that's like something I'm working on. I feel like screen time causes me a lot of anxiety. I've been trying to read, even though I'm not a reader.
I know, I started reading a self-help book called The Mountain Is You, which is like great, but I feel like everyone kind of starts off with reading like self-help, kind of like motivational stuff.
I read like stupid books.
But I want to start reading fiction. I want something where I'm like craving the ending of a book. I feel like right now with the books that I have read, it's very like educational, which I think is great, and like to absorb like tools and things to help, but I'm like, okay, like I just want to read.
To shut off.
Like I just want to like shut off, and like I don't always want to be like in the mindset of like, I don't know, like where I'm like I need to do better. I'm like I just want to read.
I feel like because I've never been a reader, and I'm always like, even as a kid, I was always the kid who's like, okay, what are we doing now? Like I can't sit still.
I know.
And because I work from my phone or my laptop, I need a hobby or an activity or something that's not screen time, and I get bored really easily. So I've been trying to get into reading. The Housemaid Fire book. It's great. I finished it in like 3 days.
Really?
Yeah. And then I'm not a huge Colleen Hoover fan.
Did she read that or write the one that's like super
It Ends With Us?
Ends With Us.
I saw the movie. I thought the movie was underrated. I thought it was really good.
It's the one with Blake Lively.
Yeah.
But aren't they saying she's too old for the
She's too old or whatever. People are so picky. Like, it was a good movie. It's a good plot.
Is that a one-off book, or is there a sequel?
I think there's one it's called It Starts With Us. It's like
that's the first
beginning.
One.
No, It Ends With Us is no. because I didn't really
You're
like
I
the
read
book.
the one off. I watched the movie. Like, I'm throwing in the towel. Like,
I love
I'm
a
done.
good twist ending.
Yeah.
I love a good, like, ooh, I'm scared reading this.
Ooh, I'm shaking in my boots.
Yeah, like, you know, it's got to keep me entertained because my attention span is like
shot.
Yeah.
I love when I'm walking and I like see a girl with a book, and then I see on TikTok, I'm like, oh, I just want to be that mysterious girl, like holding a book. Like, I just need to read. It's so good for like your vocabulary. It expands, like if you're reading like self-help books, expands the way you think.
I will say also, I am a restless sleeper. I literally bought an Aura ring.
What?
Because I was like,
you can't sleep?
I'm not sleeping. No, and I just wake up a lot throughout the night. So my dad was like, buy an Aura ring. So I bought an Aura ring.
Do you have one? Have you gotten it yet?
I returned it because I had
What?
it for a month and
I didn't know you had it.
it was so pointless. Like, it's just telling me my sleep score and not even like why I'm not sleeping.
But what, you wanted to tell you why you have anxiety?
Yeah. So I returned
She wants
it.
to put on this ring, and then she wants the ring to tell you, okay, babe, listen here, I'm gonna break it down to you why you can't. No, it's like I've heard it like monitors your cycle, like your like
it does, but
menstrual
that's
cycle,
like an extra pay.
$5,000.
Yeah, and the ring's
so how much
already
was a ring?
like $500. So I returned it, and this is my new sleep routine, and it works like a charm.
Magnesium chamomile tea puts me right to bed. Like, if I took magnesium right now, midday, sun outshining, like I would literally just put my head down and go to bed.
My friend Sam, she lives in the UK, and she's like, magnesium oil on my feet.
Okay, so
out.
I've heard that people spray it. I've seen like when I watch like videos on TikTok, and they're like, oh, my nighttime routine, and she like,
oh, I pictured me like rubbing my feet down.
She like lifts up, like a girl will like lift up the sheet of her beds and spray magnesium on it and then go to bed.
So I take that.
Okay.
And reading before bed is great.
Yeah, it helps you wind down, because I feel like especially when I come home from work, like last night, I go home at 1:30 and I like put on Sex and the City, had chamomile tea, and I was drinking magnesium, and like I was already so tired, but because I was like on my phone towards the end of my shift, I'm so wired. And then I came home and I was on my phone, and I was like falling asleep, but like my brain is
on. Yeah.
And my screen is bright. I don't even have it on nighttime mode. I'm in the dark, just like wired.
Also, like, side note, Sex and the City, who's your favorite character? Samantha. Okay.
Yeah.
If whoever says Carrie is not a real
you
Sex and the City fan.
And you're not for the girls at all. I was rewatching it, and I used to watch Sex and the City when I was younger, and now that I started rewatching it, it's so clearly evident like how different all the characters are. Like Carrie, I think the way they depicted her is like she's very boy crazy, and then you see Miranda, who's like so hardworking, so driven. She's a lawyer. She's like, fuck a guy. She's like, I can't swear, but she's like, I hate men, and she's like, so like, she's like, I don't want to be with Steve, and she like is like so like bold.
When I watched the show at Western, me and Shani, who is my friend that lives in Israel, we will never get over. We are Miranda till the day we die, because we think she's so funny, and she's just like,
she's hilarious, and she's unhinged. That's the best way to describe her. Like when they're all like debriefing at breakfast the next morning, and they're talking about like their night, and then like they're yapping, and then Carrie's like, I'm gonna get back together with Big, and she's like, what? And then you have Charlotte, who's just like this Park Ave like not brat, like Barbie, who's just like, I want to find the love of my life, and I want to just make love. She's like, they're like, I was watching a scene yesterday, and Samantha was like, oh, I don't know what it was like, some sex scene, and she was like talking about like, she's like, I just like fucked some guy last night, and then Charlotte was like, you can't say that.
Oh yeah,
you're like, it's making love. But it's so funny, like now that I'm older, like they're so different, and like I feel like that's normally like how a friend group is. Anyways, we were talking about magnesium.
Yeah, and just sleep. I just feel like anxiety, like what do you do when you're feeling anxious?
The biggest thing that has helped me with my anxiety is my dog. Like, so obviously, if you know me personally, I absolutely like live, breathe animals. Like they are like, but honestly, so I live in a house. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats. And I would say when I'm super anxious, or when I'm home alone, or I'm just like in my thoughts, like just the presence of an animal makes me feel better in a weird way. But I rescued a puppy last November. She's from St. Lucia, and came with like so many, I wouldn't say so many issues, but I think anyone that like has rescued a dog knows that like their temperament isn't going to be the same as a traditional dog that you would go buy from the breeder. Like she came super timid, super scared, petrified of men, can't be in the car.
Mine was scared of men too.
Just like every issue that you could think of. She was a puppy, so it wasn't that these behaviors were like drilled into her, like as if you would rescue a dog who's like 5 or 6, but she came with a lot of issues. So I had to put so much patience into her, and now like she gets me out of the bed, like literally wakes me up physically, and like just like, okay, we need to get going, like we need to start the day. And
it's like your child,
like a child. And I think that I don't even know if this makes sense saying out loud, but I feel like because I pour so much into her, like it gives me like a sense of purpose, not in a way where it's like a will to live, but like more of just like,
I feel like it gives you more responsibility.
It has instilled so much responsibility in me that I didn't even know like that I could like have at this age. But like I wake up like, and no matter what I'm doing, like if I have to go to work, if I have to film an episode, if Elise and I need to like plan anything for House of Movement, like my first priority in the morning is my dog.
Yeah.
And even if I'm anxious or whatever, that hour and 20 minutes that I take her every day, I swear like it goes out the door.
Yeah.
And working out. I've had this conversation with my friends. I think when I first started off at the gym, it was purely for just aesthetics. Like it was like, I want to go to the gym and I want to not feel fat.
I low-key think everyone starts off
I think you start off in the gym as like, that's your motivation to get into the gym. You like look in the mirror and you're super unhappy with how you look, and you're like, I hate my arms, I hate my butt, like my face, this and that, like I have so much unwanted fat. And that was like what got me into the gym. But now
that's not what keeps you in the gym though.
No, what keeps me in the gym is discipline. And I think discipline is like, it's consistency over and over again, because like I saw someone talking about it online. It's like when you look at discipline and motivation, like motivation is just like a flame that like flickers. Like it's like, it just comes and goes. And some days you wake up and you're super motivated and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go to the gym. Or maybe it can be like weeks at a time where you're like, I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. And we've talked about this, but like, I think what keeps it going is like the discipline every single day to like think about, okay, future Elise is going to be so happy that I'm doing this and doing the things that you don't want to do.
I think even for me, like I started working out years ago because I was modeling, and that was the motivation.
And you're like, I need to be 40 pounds.
Yeah, and that was the motivation. And then it transitioned through university where it was straight up just weightlifting. Yeah. And then I sort of fell out of love with the gym a little bit because I had been pushing myself for so long for like just different reasons. And then recently I literally fell in love with reformer Pilates, specifically at Carrie's. Yeah. Danny's class, Carly's class, shout out, because
you're like, I'm sore.
I did the class yesterday. Well, I've done it every day this week, but I did the class yesterday, and I came out of it and I was like, quivering. 4 p.m. hit, and I'm like, I want to do another one. Yeah. Like, because I love it so much. And it's sort of mainly because now I think of it as I'm really tall, I'm really long, and I want to be like mobile and like flexible when I'm older.
I saw this again, I saw it on TikTok, but it was this personal trainer, and she was like on all fours, and she was like, I don't care if I can squat 200 pounds. She's like, I want to be able to walk when I'm 65. Yeah. And she was doing these like hip mobility exercises where she was like, the way she was like bending her thing, and then she obviously went into like, she explained like the importance of like these certain stretches, but it was like, I don't really care to like,
well, even I did a private Pilates class with an older woman the other day. She's 70 years old and she looks like she's 45. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to be like that. Yeah. So that's my new motivation. And I feel like that is something that has really helped my anxiety as well. Yeah. Even just like certain supplements, like I know everyone talks about ashwagandha.
You know what? I was on the phone. I was on the phone today with my friend Mare when I was driving here. We were talking about sea moss. Yeah. I know I've seen it. Like I know it really blew up on TikTok, but like I went into depth and I was reading all of the, like, it has like, don't quote me on this, but it's like 99% of all the nutrients that like your body needs you can receive from sea like moss. one spoonful. So obviously I want to like figure out where to get sea moss.
Well, when I was
I know you can get it at Nut Bar.
You can get it at Nut Bar. Yeah. When I was in LA, the first time I saw it was at Erewhon. Yeah. Because they have a whole section of just sea moss, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, like what is this guck that I'm eating from the ocean?
And then I've like seen it ever since, and I've also wanted to try it because I do take a lot of supplements. Like I take like mushroom capsules and lion's mane and everything.
I don't take any.
I take them for brain health because I feel
brain fog? Do you feel like you get it?
I feel like for a long time, I had always, I guess, struggled with like periods of like being in a rut and then like highs and lows, and I had never gone on like medication for it or whatever, but I really found that certain supplements like lion's mane and all that really just like helps clear clear the brain fog a little bit.
Okay.
So
good to know.
I do like, I put it in my coffee every morning. It's like a squeeze bottle.
I need you to show me.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like when I'm like in a rut, it's more so of just getting up and just doing it even when you don't want to.
Yeah. I think also too though, it's important when you get in a rut or when you're super depressed, like understand, like take a step back to analyze like why. Like
if you're burnt out, take time off.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if you're burnt out or you're really tired or you're super depressed or like whatever the feeling is that you have, like take inventory of everything that you're feeling, and then also think like, okay, what am I doing to like accentuate that? Because when I feel super down is when I'm like eating super poorly and I'm not working out. And then I take a step back and I'm like, okay, why am I eating super bad and why am I not working out? Maybe that's because I'm going out too much, or maybe that's because I'm not sleeping properly. And it doesn't necessarily, like, these are all things that can be fixed. So like if you're super burnt out, okay babe, you're working 50 hours a week, like let's take a step back. Or
even like I feel like sometimes I feel like lonely at certain periods of time, and there's a difference between lonely and being alone. I understand that I'm not alone. I have all of these like amazing people around me, but you can still go through periods of loneliness. And I don't think that is also classified as like you're incapable of being alone, because you can be perfectly independent and love being alone, but also have a period where you just want to hang out with somebody or sit with somebody or whatever. During periods of that, getting out of the house, going for a walk, calling somebody, or watching a show that you like, reading a book, and also not like labeling yourself as a certain way or like attaching to that emotion, because I think that makes it worse. It's more so what my therapist said is, this is what I'm feeling right now. Okay, what are these things that I have pre-planned in my head that I like set myself up for success?
Okay.
Because when you're in a rut, you're not thinking properly anyway. So have things planned ahead of time.
You're so clouded by like, okay, like let's talk about like if you're feeling alone and then you like label that emotion, you're like, okay, well, I'm a loser and I have no friends and I feel this and I'm like down and I just don't have anyone around me, but like what are things that I actually like to do to like get myself out of this?
So that's what the therapist said. She was like, have things pre-planned, because when you're anxious or whatever, you're
like
not thinking clearly
up for yourself.
So know that, hey, there's that podcast I've really been wanting to listen to. Let's listen to it.
There's that class I really want to do, or like there's that new there's that trail around me that I want to go to, or my boyfriend and I want to go see this movie, go to this like exhibit, go to a restaurant, something like that.
And don't get me wrong, like it's so much easier said than done. Like even,
but sometimes though, I think it's like so normal, and honestly, I think it's, at least like, I don't know if someone's gonna agree, but I not enjoy, but I'm okay with like sulking a little bit. Like I think it's, I think it's normal, and I think if someone says to you that they're like, oh, I'm in a rut, but then I like bounce back in 4 seconds, I'm like, do you really? Like, I think it's okay. I like to sit with it a little bit, and I maybe like I journal a lot, not journal, but like I write in my notes app, like, and I should like transfer it to paper, but I write a lot in my notes app of like what, like why I'm super stressed out or why I'm anxious, or like I even just like any idea that I have, I just write down. But like I think it's okay to just like be upset for a day.
Well,
I think
even like last night, I had a good day yesterday and everything, but I was a little bit lonely at night, and just because like I had spoken to my friend that lives in the UK like earlier, and I miss spending time with her. I was talking to my mom, miss spending time with her. My boyfriend has been spending more time with his like partners and stuff, so I have been spending more time alone, which is totally fine, and I do also love my alone time.
Get a cat.
I know, I need an animal. And it's also hard to not make your partner, I guess, feel like it's their fault that you're alone.
I know, I experience that so much.
Yeah. So it's definitely
also
something
girls are
that
maybe a little needy.
For sure. I'm definitely needy.
I think more than guys. Like from like all my friends that are in relationships, like obviously everyone wants to spend time with their significant other, but I think girls are just, or at least myself, I'm more attached
Me too.
to my boyfriend, and not that like your man's not attached to you or vice versa, but I think
but it's a different type.
But it's a different type. We've had this conversation so much when you went through that, when like you were like, I feel like I need to learn to have time apart and like
for sure
balance.
I'm very capable of being alone. I enjoy being alone, but that doesn't mean that 10 p.m. hits and I don't want to hang out type of thing. Like, or I'm like lonely tonight, even though I saw you earlier in the day. Like, and I think it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't experience that type of emotion. We did a question box that's obviously anonymous questions, and a lot of the question was, what has been causing you the most anxiety recently? And a lot of the girls answered their relationship. And I guess my response to that is, your relationship shouldn't be causing you anxiety.
I think that, like, I think if you...
It should sort of be a relief in a way.
Should be, and I think if your relationship is giving you anxiety, I think it's like, is there trust? Is there communication? Does he respect you? Like, I think those are like key pillars to help you indicate why you're getting stressed out. Obviously.
And I think if you're stressed because you guys are spending more time apart and that's what's giving you anxiety, then that's different. But it's also learning to not, I guess, place almost the blame on them.
I know.
Because it's not their fault. Like, they should be able to have time alone too, and that's great.
Yeah.
And that's what builds like a healthy foundation.
Yeah.
But I don't think your relationship should be causing you any anxiety. I think it should be like that light.
Yeah.
So
like you're like salvation. You're like, oh my God, like I get to come home to this. I get to like relax to this. I think sometimes something that I have learned, I guess, talking about relationships and anxiety, is the older I get and the more established I want to get in my own career, I realize that I spend less time with my boyfriend, but like we're both trying to be successful in what we want to do. So because of that, we spend less time together. But I think I used to view it as such a negative thing. I'm like, oh my God, you're working so much. Like, you don't have time for me. But I'm like, no, he's working so much. Like, that's such a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's so hard, as like you and I always used to like bitch about this. We're like, oh, there's no time for us. There's no time for us. But it's like, no, they're fully like establishing their careers. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to like,
that's important. Like,
and but it's hard.
It's finding the positive in something that you see as negative.
But like, if you're looking at it from like a third perspective, like when I talked about this, my mom, she was like, are you dumb? She's like, how could you possibly be upset on the fact that your significant other is like grinding?
Yeah.
And like, he's not saying, no, I don't want to hang out with you because I'm going to go out with my friends. It's like, no, idiot, like, I'm not hanging out with you, or I'm not calling you at 2 p.m. because I'm working. And
I will say working. Like, that was definitely a learning curve for me too.
I know, but it like, and that's what
something it should
with
be.
Like you now that you're like, okay, I'm in an adult relationship. Like, we're not 16, 17 where it's like, how are you not hanging out with me? Like, you have all the time in the world.
Yeah. And even like, aside from that, I also have to look at the pros of, my boyfriend happens to be my biggest inspiration career-wise.
Yeah.
The way that he thinks and like grinds, and clients he works with and everything, is like, I aspire to be even half as good as he is. So I think all of these little negatives and everything, it's sort of just white noise at the end of the day, because we are both still grinding towards a career.
Yeah.
And we both want each other to succeed. So if that means that maybe you spend a week apart, that's
or
what
even
it is.
If like, you spend the week apart, but like the 2-3 times that you do see each other, it's like, oh my God, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, we get to like, you like really get to like be in the moment, and like whatever you guys do, whether it's like you're sitting on this couch, you guys are going for dinner or whatever, it's like you cherish it so much more.
Some of them were feeling lost in life with no clear direction forward, not feeling good enough, my weight and people's perception of me, my schedule. I love going out and making memories, but overbooking and not having time to be alone is making me anxious, feeling overwhelmed and mentally exhausted. I feel like life moves so fast and I can't keep up. And I
actually really like the last one, the not finding overbooking yourself. I think about that every single week. Like, so I get my schedule, like right now I'm working at a restaurant, and I get my schedule like 4 to 5 days a week. We film 1 day a week, and then it's like I go out on like, there's like not a lot of time for me to just like sit at home and like be in bed by 7:30, because then I'm like, okay, I want to see friends. I haven't seen you in X amount of time. Okay, like let me see you on Thursday. But you're like, oh, Thursday's my only day off. Like, do I really want to see you on Thursday? Or it's like, like as shitty as it sounds, like I would rather just like hang out with my boyfriend. On like, you know, like there's some days where you're just like, I just don't want to see anyone. Like I just don't want to hang out.
I feel that too. And I think that just comes down to like trying as much as like your job allows or life allows to schedule
if
stuff
I can't
in.
see you, I can't see you. And I think everyone will
understand that too. And like it's not personal if like I cancel plans, you know, or it's not personal if I can't see you this week. Like FaceTime me and we'll talk there. But I just mentally don't have the time this week.
One of the biggest things I think take away from this conversation is like learning to have like implementing downtime. And like just being like what we were saying about like being alone and stuff, but like actually like allocating time to just, okay, like tonight I'm just gonna hang out by myself.
Even yesterday I haven't been to Brandy Melville since I modeled for them when I was 17. And
I feel like every time I go in that store, it gives me a fever dream of like when I was like 17 going in there holding my mom's hand. She's like, you can pick one thing.
Oh, let me tell you, when I used to think I was the shit because like I was on their website and stuff and I used to get free stuff from them. And I was like, yeah, like I'm like the face of Brandy Melville. And now I'm like, I haven't been there in years. And I know that the line has been insane for some reason, but I went yesterday.
The one just as like down on Queen Street?
Yeah, just as like my downtime. And I was like, look, I'm just gonna go. Like
I went to breakfast this morning by myself before I came here. I literally went to Pure and Simple and I was like, I'm gonna take myself on a solo date. And I went and I'm sitting at Pure and Simple like by myself, and like you just took yourself to Brandy Melville. But I mean, there's people that like thrive off of like spending time alone, and I aspire to be that. But I think it's also because I don't know, I just like I'm always surrounded by people.
Well, we have our podcast launch event next Friday.
Wait, we're filming this is September 5th. This will launch like
end of September. A couple weeks, end of September.
Oh my god.
Because guys, each episode takes me about 10 hours,
which she will teach me how to edit. So don't think it's all her. I just need. What are you editing on your Mac?
Adobe Premiere.
Okay. Are you paying for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Both of us will be editing. So if one editing's a lot better than the other, it's because
I'm assuming we'll get quicker.
From 47 hours, we're going to trim it down to 31.
Yeah.
No, but how long is it now?
Like 10 hours.
Okay. But we are filming this September 5th.
We have our launch event next Friday. It's sold out.
Did you know it's September 13th or Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I know.
I know. I saw it and I was like, ooh. Yeah, but we're doing our launch event next Friday. It's sold out in 1 hour.
Yeah, it sold out pretty fast.
Yeah, which we're really excited about. There's 50 girls coming. Hopefully no one cancels. But yeah, we're super excited. We're gonna lounge just like a cute little cocktail before you go out sort of vibe.
You'll see all the footage on our Instagram.
Yeah, so we're excited.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We honestly love doing this.
I feel like it goes by too fast.
Yeah, it goes by too fast. We've been rambling.
I know obviously we haven't posted anything yet, but once these go live on our Instagram, we kind of do have a set kind of schedule of what we want to talk about. But if there's topic conversations that you guys want to hear, you want to hear the girls ramble about, just like let us know, because we're open to anything. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.